All right. Hello, Founder fans. Jason here. Thank you so much for coming to Founder of the Day. This is a new type of video I'm shooting. I'm calling it Study Hall for now. Don't know what to call it. I'm Mr. John Adams. Thank you for coming. Right out off the bat, as people start rolling in, I'm going to make a few quick announcements, especially for people who watch later. I know a lot of people like to watch these videos after they're live, and I certainly appreciate that. Recently, some of the live videos have been running extremely long, which is fine. It's a lot of fun. But for example, trivia this Friday, we started having a chit chat, and it ended up being a 2.5 hour video. And I know that can turn some people off when they're watching later. Hi, Ashley. Thank you for coming. When people watch later, and whoops, I forgot to make myself nice and light for you. Whoop, not quite light enough. There we go. Hi, that's better. Now I'm not dark. I was in the shade. I know it could be a turnoff, like when you see my video and it says 2.5 hours long. Why would you ever watch for 2.5 hours? Now, some people did, and people were interacting for 2.5 hours. That's different than just watching. I'm not making feature-length films here. So I'm going to attempt to, at least at the beginning of each video, announce how long I think it should be. This one, for example, I am going to make just an hour, so I'm going to cut it off at 1:25. In the afternoon, just about the time football games are starting on the East Coast, so everyone can go watch their football if they want. Again, I love that you guys ask questions. Feel free. That's actually why I want to start this. I want this to be a place where we can ask questions. Of course, during trivia, you can ask questions. We'll probably run a little long sometimes, but this is a good chance, at least in the future. I thought Sunday morning would be a nice time for you guys if you had a founder you wanted to learn more about, or had any questions if you're working on a project or something like that. Just chit-chatting like we've been doing Friday afternoons after trivia. Feel free to ask any questions you got. Of course, this week, I'm kind of surprised you with it. I don't expect a ton of questions, but that's what I want to make out of this. So thank you guys very much for watching. And while we wait for any questions, I do want to say, hey, Misfit, thank you for coming, guys. I do want to say I have a little update to trivia. Now, there's a little bit of backstory to this, but I noticed this week that several of you were talking about making teams. And I thought, oh, well, I want everyone to have fun and play together. And furthermore, I've kind of noticed that there are some people who kind of don't seem to be playing trivia like they used to, either because they thought they weren't keeping up or because they thought they were doing a little too good and didn't want other people to feel bad being newer to learning about the American Revolution and other people. So, to come up with this, I figured out a way we can all play together. Because also, I always complain about how I don't get to play with all the questions. And the way I figured this out is actually how I came up with Founder of the Day. See, don't tell my former boss, but I used to work at a certain job that got a little boring at times. So every once in a while, I would pop onto this website called Sporkle.com. And if you're not familiar with Sporkle.com, it is a trivia website. It has movies, it has music, it has literally everything you'd want to quiz yourself on and more. And one of the things it has is a whole slew of trivia questions and games about the American Revolution and the American founders. In fact, there's one game about the executive branch of American founders that has, I believe it was 243 names on the list. And it was playing this particular trivia game that I realized, and you know what? I will pop it up here real quick. Playing this game, I realized, I will say the website has a lot of advertisements on it. I will try and X them out as best I can. This particular game inspired me to start Founder of the Day because while you're playing it, you just type in a name and it fills in the spot. And well, there's 243 of them, and I did it for several months. It could never even get anywhere near 243 correct. But I thought it might be fun for us to try and play it. This one we'll do on Friday, but we can just keep shouting out names and all work together to see if we can max out the total number of, I'm bringing myself back, see if we can work together for several weeks or maybe months, a very long time, to name as many people as we can. And as we go, this actually does say what their positions were in the early executive branch and blah, blah, blah. For example, if we want to do an example one, we can pop over here to, this is just, can you name the founding fathers of the United States? And this has 7 names. If you guys want to give it a shot, why don't you throw out some names while we're here, and I'll keep talking. But as soon as you guys throw out a name, I'll show you. I'll type it in. And again, it's only 7 founders. I reference the big 6 pretty frequently. This includes another person. Let's see if you can figure out who it is. Go ahead. There are some people here. The usual crowd seems to be rolling in. So if you guys want to throw me a name, it's the pretty popular one. John Adams coming in with Alexander Hamilton. And we just need the last name. I will say, did I spell it wrong? Hamilton. Do I need the whole name? Alexander Hamilton. There we go. Oh, this one wants the full name. Okay, we got Thomas Jefferson. We got George Washington. John Adams, of course. Okay, we got 4 of the 7. Anyone else? Oh, John Adams coming with John J. I think that's a great answer because John J is the one I don't personally include in the big 6, though arguably he should be. All right, we have Sam Adams. Let's see. Samuel Adams. Nope. Interesting. John Adams with James Madison. That's probably a good guess. And we got one more. The first American. That's my hint. Who is the first American? Joseph Warren. I don't think he's going to count as one of these. Joseph Warren. I doubt it. Nope. It's a good guess. He is a founder. But is he one of the, quote, founding fathers? Charles Lee is a good guess. You guys are thinking you're really overthinking this. There's a really big name that's on money that everyone is overlooking. I'm gonna let you guys keep guessing. It's not John Hancock. I know who it is. When you figure it out, you're all gonna say, "Oh yeah, of course." Ashley coming in with Benjamin Franklin, if I can spell it. And there we go. And we won. We got 100%. The average score is 82%. Great job. See, this is a lot of fun website. I'll bring myself back up. This website's a lot of fun. Wasn't it exciting that we got it? Now, when we do the other one with 242 names, that one might be a little more tricky. But I think this, again, I feel like that might be fun. So we're going to do that this Friday for this Friday's trivia, where literally we're just going to name every last name we could possibly think of in the American Revolution. And what should be fun about this is that we can then discuss people as we go in their positions, so we can both play trivia and learn about the American founding kind of at the same time. I am going to ask that you don't look up the answers. Actually, what I am going to ask is that while we're playing, if there's someone instead of looking up people we haven't named, if you're curious about someone, look into them while we play. And while you're doing that, if you stumble onto a name we didn't use, that would count. But just going to a list won't count, but it will be tricky. So if you like, again, in the future, I think this Sunday meeting is going to be for you guys to ask me questions. If you have projects, you have a certain founder you want to learn about, by all means, here I am. But I am going to bring up the Declaration of Independence. And again, this website's a little slow at times, and then plus with my computer running the video and the game. But here, I'm going to pop this back up because, see, there's we can guess common words in the Declaration of Independence. Quick pick Declaration of Independence first words, first 300 words of the Declaration. I'm going to pop up Declaration of Independence signers because that might be a little fun for us to try out right now. Again, this one's a lot quicker because this one actually gives us 10 minutes, which is surprising. But I'm going to pop back over here, the big one. This one gives us 20 minutes to do what we can. So if we try it 2 times in a row, and that's what I used to do when I was, working very hard at my old job. I would do it like once a day, and each day see how many I could remember, how many more I could get, how many more I can get. And I feel like that'll be fun. Let me know, guys, because, I want you guys to enjoy what we're doing here as much as I do. If you guys are interested, you want to list out some names on the Declaration of Independence? Who wants to try it? Let's get some names. Tell you what, I'll go through some of the names we've already had, and I'll start typing those in, because I did see... All right, John Adams with Jefferson. Let's go. Let's start off. He was the author. That's a good one. It also pops up here. This one tells you what state they're from. All right, John Adams with... I'm just going to type in Adams, because what happens? Whammy. 2 Adams when you get the same last name. That's a little bit of a hint and a trick on this game. I'm only reserving... Oh no, Misfit. No. Please, your questions are always welcome. I tried to answer everyone's questions. I certainly don't want to make anyone feel bad for asking questions. We just ran about 2.5 hours, which is a little long for most people. Though again, I feel like it'll be better if I do more videos during the week, so you have more opportunity to ask questions. You don't have to squeeze them all in on Friday. But you can always ask questions. Please, Amber, don't ever feel bad. I'm just trying to make this as convenient as I can for everyone, and that includes you. I saw Franklin. Did I type in Franklin? Did Hamilton sign it? No, I don't believe Hamilton did. We'll type him in. Nope, Hamilton was at war at that time, and he was kind of a nobody. Hancock. Yeah, Hancock's got the famous signature on there. Hamilton was kind of a nobody at that point, just working his way up in the local militia. Any other names? There's a lot more. We only have 5 out of 56. Washington, did he sign it? No, he did not. Washington had actually gone to take over the Continental Army at that point, so he wasn't in Philadelphia at the time. And Thomas Jefferson was actually one of the people who replaced him. Oh, Ashley coming in with the best answer. Sherman. Roger Sherman signed, yes, pretty much everything. John Jay. I don't believe so. Nope, John Jay did not sign it. So John Jay voted for independence. But like many people, and I almost gave it away, many people ended up leaving. As soon as they voted for independence, they left because the Declaration wasn't signed until August 2nd, 1776. And in that month, many people who voted for independence went back to their home state to be independent, and other states voted for new members to come and replace people who didn't vote for independence. Robert Morris, probably. Yes. Oh, and Lewis Morris from New York popped up in the corner. Good guess. Edmund Pendleton. There's got to be a Pendleton on here, right? No Pendletons. Good guess, though, Misfit. Chip. Hi, Chip. What's going on, Mr. Davis? John Hart? Yes, he did, and he would later go live in a cave when he was hiding from the British. He's a fun character. No, I put in Pendleton. Nathaniel Pendleton's also a good guess. It's L.E., but still, good guess. Harrison, whose son, yes, Benjamin Harrison, whose son would be a president and whose great-grandson would also be a president of these United States. Richard Henry Lee, I'm just going to type in Lee, actually. I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised that Francis Lightfoot, his younger brother, was also there. Chip Davis, Caesar Rodney, of course. He's the one with the famous midnight ride, right? This is good. We're doing good. 13 out of 56. I like this. And again, these advertisements are popping up. I'm going to try and cancel them as best I can as we go without screwing anything up. More coming in. Paul Revere? I do not believe so. Nope. At this point, after the war breaks out, Paul Revere kind of fades a little bit into the background. Sam Adams does hang around, obviously, and sign this document. But many of the early rabble-rousers in Boston kind of fade from the national scene once the wealthy elite from other colonies come and join the fight. Francis Lewis. There's got to be a Lewis. Francis Lewis from New York. I like it. Madison. No, I'm going to type it in. I am going to try every guess, you guys. Madison, at this point, was still in school. He was still in college and wouldn't take to the scene for about another 4 more years when he finally arrived in Philadelphia. Ashley, Livingston's a good guess. There's Philip Livingston from Albany. Now, Robert R. Livingston there was a committee of 5 that wrote the Declaration of Independence. Now, Jefferson did most of the writing. Franklin and Adams did some helping and some editing. And then Roger Sherman and Robert R. Livingston served on the committee also, although they didn't do much. Robert R. Livingston would vote for independence and then, like John Jay, run back to New York with John Jay to write a constitution for New York. But this is a good way to do it, is just throwing out the last names is good because when we start doing the big one next Friday, yeah, we're just going to go by last names and get them out there. I'm going to type in Warren. I see Warren here, if I spell it right. No, because Joseph Warren actually would have died about over a year beforehand at the Battle of Bunker Hill. Did Payne sign it? No, but you know what, Ashley? I am going to type in the name Payne. Oh, Robert Treatpain, who was a little bit of an adversary for John Adams leading into this. Robert Treatpain, after the Boston Massacre, there was a trial for the soldiers. John Adams defended the soldiers who were being tried for the Boston Massacre, and Robert Treatpain was against them. And John Adams famously won that defense, and they were given a very light sentence. Stockton, John Stockton, let's see. Not John Stockton. John Stockton, the athlete from the Utah Jazz in the 90s. Richard Stockton from New Jersey did indeed sign the Declaration of Independence. All right, 4 minutes left. We're 6 minutes in. We got 17 of them. Richard, yeah. McKean, you did spell it wrong, but yes, McKean worked with Caesar Rodney. We were doing pretty good with Delaware. Let's see. Who else we got here? We have no one from Rhode Island, New Hampshire, Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, or Maryland. I will give you a hint. Someone brought up someone from Georgia the other day, and we talked a little bit about his famous signature, because he was the first one to die who signed this document. And Stephen Colbert and Lin-Manuel Miranda did a little tribute to him several years back. Didn't think the soldiers at the Boston Massacre should have gotten into much trouble because the crowd was throwing rocks and oysters. Exactly, and they didn't, and that was essentially, because you're John Adams. Yeah, that's right. That's what you thought, John Adams. Carroll, great name. That's right, because Charles Carrollton. Okay, Charles Carroll of Carrollton had the longest, he was the last person to die who signed the document. He lived the longest. Let's see. Rutledge. It's got to be a Rutledge. There's at least one. Edward Rutledge. His brother John voted for independence and ran back to South Carolina to become governor real quick. His brother John actually had previously served in the Stamp Act Congress and would later serve in the Constitutional Convention and be an inaugural Chief Justice, blah, blah, blah. He did everything. Rush. Yes, Dr. Benjamin Rush certainly signed the Declaration. Armistead. No, unfortunately, these were all Caucasian males signed the Declaration of Independence. Hall, good guess. Lyman Hall. Really interesting character. Lyman Hall actually went to the Continental Congress, the Second Continental Congress, before Georgia decided to join. But his county, which they called a parish at the time, I don't know if they still call them parishes in Georgia or not, they sent him either way. They said, we're not going to wait for Georgia, get out there. Oh, Elbridge Gerry. Yes, Elbridge Gerry is one of the most important founders and is always forgotten. Wolcott. I do believe there's a Wolcott. Oliver Wolcott, whose son would be the second Secretary of Treasury. Gwinnett, there it is. That's the one I was looking for. If I could spell it. Schuyler, no, I believe Schuyler. That's a great guess, John Adams. But he was in New York. He was the number two ranking general in the Continental Army at this point, I believe, in August of 1776. So he was busy trying to win a war with George Washington. It's a great guess, though, because he would later serve in the Continental Congress. It is a great name. All right, 26. All right, we got 50 seconds left. What is halfway there? So we need 3 more to get halfway. Lamb. That's a good guess. Don't believe it's true. Chip Davis. I think there is a Whipple. It's a William Whipple. One of my favorites. One of my personal favorites. Let's see. Hints. I don't know if any of you watched the show. Reed. I don't even have time for a hint. In fact, I'm going to go with... No, okay. Didn't remember if Joseph Reed signed this thing. Any Smiths? That's a good question. There is a James Smith of Pennsylvania who owned a large section of land. Wilson, for sure. Craig... And I think you mean Craigie. Nope, he was being apothecary general at the time. Hooper. Definitely. And did I do Wilson? And we're done. Oh, Clark is definitely a right answer, John Adams. We just didn't get it in time. That's all right. 30 out of 56. That's really, really good, you guys. You know, considering there's five of you guys were doing it, I wasn't being super helpful. I was just kind of commenting the whole time. That was really fun for me. That's great. great. Who do we miss? And what's fun is it tells us just who we miss. And I hope you guys can see this. If not, let me know. We got George Clymer, George Taylor, John Morton, and George Ross. 3 Georges from Pennsylvania. Josiah Bartlett from New Hampshire and Matthew Thornton from New Hampshire. We miss Stephen Hopkins and William Ellery from Rhode Island. William Floyd, who actually we were talking about the William Floyd estate just the other day. It's all of you we were talking about, but I know Ashley's down on Long Island. So got to remember him for next time. Get all 4 from New York next time. I'm from New York, so that's specifically for me. George Walton from Georgia. Let's see. We missed Carter Braxton. I always really like that name. Thomas Nelson and George Wythe, a very important person from Virginia, though we did get a good chunk of Virginia. North Carolina, William Hooper. We did not get Joseph Hughes or John Penn, not from Pennsylvania, from North Carolina. We missed in South Carolina, Thomas Lynch, Arthur Middleton, and Thomas Hayward Jr. New Jersey, Abraham Clark came in last minute. We missed Francis Hopkinson, the artist of the Revolution. And we missed John Witherspoon, even though I just talked about his son a few weeks ago and his relationship to Reese Witherspoon. In Connecticut, we missed Samuel Huntington and William Williams. Great name, William Williams. And in Maryland, we missed Thomas Stone, Samuel Chase, and William Paca. But again, we got more than half. That was a lot of fun. See, I thought you guys might like this, Misfit. I have a tab open with his name on it. Yeah. Oh, well, you're going to run into this a lot, especially when we get to the bigger one. I'll take a quick sip. And yeah, so the reason I ran through all the names we missed is so if we do this again, well, the goal is to get more next time. Can I play 1775 Rebellion? Yeah, John Adams, I absolutely can. I'm not going to right now. It is a little bit of a lengthy game, and like I said, I am going to try and keep this to a certain amount of time. So I actually did start a Twitch account. I think, Misfit, did you follow me over there? I haven't really gone over there a lot. I haven't done too much with it, but if you guys are interested, if you want to see me like play games long form, this is interactive. The 1775 isn't really. I think I can play against 1 or 2 people on that, but okay, follow me over there. Maybe I'll pop on. The thing is, like, if I am going to do that, it'll be while my spouse is watching television downstairs. I will come upstairs and play at night here. Although, for you on the West Coast, that is probably not nighttime. Yeah, thank you, Misfit. My Twitch name is founder_of_the_day. So, I will start playing that more and more. I was doing it for a little bit. I was playing the 1775 Rebellion. It helps me talk about the Revolution a little bit, but, like, I get distracted playing that game. Do you guys want to try another one? Do you guys want to try, what do you want to do? Do you want to do the Constitution? We can do the Articles of Confederation, or, hey, we could do the Continental Association, if that's something you'd like. Let me know which one you'd prefer. Real quick, I also put this on ultra low latency, which means I should be seeing what you're saying pretty quickly to right when you say it. Oh, thank you, S. Hey, no, don't worry about anything. No apologies needed. I don't know if you just jumped in or you've been in, but this Sporkle Trivia website, we are going to start doing not instead of trivia, in place of trivia, because we can all play together, because what we just did was name signers of the Declaration of Independence. We got 30 of 56. And on Friday, what we're going to do is the executive branch. I'm sorry, the legislative branch. People who were in the First Continental Congress, Declaration of Independence signers, Articles signers, Constitution signers, and members of the First United States Congress. There will be 243 people that we will try and name. I assure you we will not get all of it. Actually, the Continental Association, also known as the Articles of Association, was the result of the First Continental Congress. So the founders met at the First Continental Congress for 6 weeks in September and October of 1775, and then they signed the Continental Association, which was, among other things, most notable as a boycott against British goods, while and they sent some grievances to Europe. 6 months later, they met for the Second Continental Congress. While the First Continental Congress was 6 weeks long, the Second Continental Congress was 15 years. Although during that time, they signed the Articles of Confederation, and I will get rid of that over my head. The Articles of Confederation, and became the Congress of the Confederation, yada, yada, yada. So, but let's play another game. Can we take a quiz about battles of the Revolutionary War? Let's do one where we are struggling due to trivia night. Okay. I'm sorry. Let's do one where we are struggling due trivia night. I'm sorry. I'm not sure. Misfit, what your question is. But yeah, we'll do it. I'm happy to do it. If you can correct my forgetfulness. Battles of the Revolution. Now that one might take a while. You know what? Let's just do Revolutionary War. Battles is kind of specific. This should bring up more. I will note also that this website can be pretty slow. Can you pick battles that were fought during the Revolution War while avoiding battles in the Civil War? Let's do Revolutionary War battles. This one will probably be really tough. I'll be honest with you. Again, people signing in, we're just kind of looking at this website, Sporkle, which we are going to be using for Trivia Night this week, where we're going to try and name as many founders as we can. Oh, Revolutionary War battles. I don't know, Misfit. I think it's just one of those words is probably a typo, and the whole thing would make sense pretty quick. Okay, oh, this one's going to show us images. Alright, now I will say this might bounce around a little bit while I'm answering it, but it says, can you name the Revolutionary War battles? Oh, okay. Give me a second. It's not me, it's yep, there it is. Like I said, unfortunately this website does pop up a lot of advertisements, so I do have to take a second to X some of them out so that it doesn't slow us down too much. But let's play this quiz. 8 minutes for 8 questions. Let's see. Alright, so this says, here's a map of Boston. The successful siege of this city was the first battle of the Continental Army and George Washington. It resulted in Britain's removal from this city. Oh, it wants to know the city. I already said it. Who wants to say what I said? I mean, it says Boston on the map. So I'm going to see if that's what they want. Okay, Boston. Good job, John Hams. All right, after Boston, Great Britain brought its navy and 20,000 troops to this city. They defeated the Continental Army. So after the evacuation of Boston, where did... after the British evacuated Boston, they waited at sea for much more soldiers to show up, and then where did all the soldiers, or most of the British soldiers, go? John Adams with NYC. Let's just do New York. Yes, sir. Okay. Washington crossed the Delaware River on Christmas to win a surprise victory over the British Hessian forces in New Jersey. Name this battle. I think we're struggling on the signers of the Articles of Confederation and another document. Well, after we do this one, we'll do one of those. Delaware. Let's see. John Adams with Delaware. Nope. They're looking for a town in Jersey. Oh, and okay, Trenton. And I think it would have accepted Princeton also, John Adams, because they were kind of stuck in a row. The name for German mercenaries who fought for the British. Okay, well, they just said this in the last question. I don't think we're at Germantown quite yet, John Adams, though keep that in mind. Hessians, I think that's right. Ashley, that's not a battle, that's strange. Though, to be fair, there were many groups of... There were several different principalities in the Germanic part of what was really then the Holy Roman Empire still. And it was just most of them came from Hessia, so they were all lumped in as Hessians, but there were several others. The Battle of Saratoga was part of Great Britain plans to cut blank off from the rest of the colonies. What was Britain... What part... 2 words... And what part of the United States was Britain trying to cut off from the rest of the United States? And this is a cool map because it's showing the Battle of Saratoga, which is not the answer. But the trip that the Britons took to get down there. New York City? No, that's not it. I do believe New York City is 3 words. Which part? Which segment? Which greater section of the 13 areas? I'll type in New York because you guys keep saying it. No, this is a map of New York, but they were trying to cut off, I think Ashley's right, New England. Because they thought once they could cut off New England, it would cut off. Then they could just sweep down and get everyone else. They couldn't. This was the winter headquarters of the Continental Army located in Pennsylvania. What was the winter headquarters of the Continental Army located in the Pennsylvania? Ashley coming in hot. Valley Forge. Excellent. Name the Prussian military commander who instilled discipline and new fighting tactics during the winter at Valley Forge. Also, I will say, this same person did a lot of army maintenance. Like, he moved the latrines far away from the kitchen to help figure out why they were getting sick. Yeah. Steuben. Yes. Steuben, maybe? I never say his name right either. He did have a pretty long, fancy name. Speaking of long, fancy names, who is this guy? Who's this fine-looking young gentleman? Yes, it is Lafayette. When he was younger, before, if I could spell it. Lafayette. We did it. 8 for 8. Great job, team. That was fun. Do you want to do one where we're shouting out names again? Let's do the Constitution. It's a pretty basic one. Again, next week, I hope that this will be like a Q&A session. And this, I think this will be fun for trivia. Please let me know if you think we should all do this together for trivia. I won't. All right, thank you, Chip. We'll see you later in the week, hopefully. Thank you so much for coming back and subscribing. I really appreciate it. The only thing I'm not sure about is how to give away prizes. Maybe we keep track of who names the most people right or something like that. So float ideas to me. Wait, did I spell it wrong? I have a bad habit of spelling Constitution wrong. I almost said wrong. Signers. Ugh, come on, man. Figure it out. Signers. I have a bad habit. When I'm writing articles, I spell Constitution wrong all the time. I think it's just too many T-I-T-U-T-I. It just gets me. New Jersey, United... No, I don't just want the ones from Jersey. Okay, there's a whole bunch of different ones. This one has 5 stars. So, let's pop it up. Give it a second. Patience. This one is 12 minutes. They're giving us a good amount of time. Okay. Any advertisements popping up? Yes. He has a serious name. Marie-Joseph Paul-Yves Roch Gilbert du Monterre de la Lafayette, Marquis de Lafayette. And yet somehow he's known to history by just simply one name. I am going to click out of any advertisements I can real quick, because that slows us down a lot. Okay. So, you guys ready to name the 40 people who signed the United States Constitution? Ashley is. Look at that. Okay, well, let's start with Hamilton. Hamilton, the only signer from New York, because the 2 other delegates said nope and went home and said, we got to be anti-federalists about this. Okay, let's hear some signers. Washington, good guess. He was the chairperson. He certainly did. Roger Sherman, always right. Can't go wrong with Sherman. Franklin, for sure, the elder statesman, along with Roger Sherman. The only person older than Roger Sherman was Benjamin Franklin. Madison, yeah, he's pretty important to it. This doesn't give you a whole lot. This just gives you their states. John Adams, Jefferson, now that is not going to be right, and neither is Adams, because they were both in Europe when the Constitution was written and signed. Jefferson in France, Adams in Great Britain. I think we just put in Madison. That's right. That's a right one. And now we've cleared out the big famous ones. Hancock, let's see. Nope. At this point, Hancock had gone home and become governor of Massachusetts. A lot of the people who signed the Declaration, who were really important founders, would go back to their states and do things like become governor. And they, unfortunately, a lot of them were anti-federalists because they liked having all the power of their state under their control. John Jay, nope, John Jay was in New York. There wasn't a good reason for him not to come. Livingston. William Livingston, who had been governor of New Jersey, was one of those people who voted for independence and then left before signing the Constitution, the Declaration, was governor of New Jersey the whole time and still would be. And there's usually a Livingston. That's also a good name. Ashley, a Morris is a good name. It's one of my son's names, actually. But there's always a Morris. This had Gouverneur Morris and Robert Morris. King. I think that's a good guess. Rufus King of Massachusetts, but then would just 2 years later be a senator from New York. They bounced around a lot. Doing really good. Let's see if we get halfway there. Let's see if we can get 20. I think we can. We only got 9 minutes left. So we need some names. Let's try this again. Any Smith. Always good to go with the Smith. Not this time. It's never a bad idea to go with common last names, though, because many common last names today were common back then. We inherit a lot from the founders. Blair. John Blair. Misfit. Great call. And that is all the signers from Virginia, but not nearly all the delegates from Virginia. Several left for several reasons, including one that we keep seeing coming up, which we'll see if it comes back up. I don't want to say it, I don't want to give it away, but there's a name that we've been talking about a lot today and on Friday. Floyd. I don't believe Floyd is there. No. Not at this point. Though Floyd would be an inaugural member of the United States House of Representatives. James Wilson. James Wilson was an extraordinarily important person at this time. He was one of the few people saying that there should be a popular vote for president. He was one of the brightest legal minds in the United States. Okay, I see Pinckney. Was there a Pinckney? No, if I spell it right, is that it? Yeah, I thought there was a Pinckney. There's 2 of them. Charles Cootsworth Pinckney and Charles Pinckney, both of South Carolina. Not the same person. Payne, good guess. Not on this one. Sherman, we've already got up there. Great guess, though, Mr. Adams. And we were rocking through it. We're doing really good. Losing my train of thought. Clark. So Clark did sign the Declaration, but was not on the Constitution. No, I know it is. He's not here because this is 13 years later. And again, remember, the thing to remember about Button Gwinnett is that he dies less than a year after signing the Declaration of Independence. That's why he has the 3rd most valuable signature in the entire world, only after Julius Caesar and Cleopatra, if I'm not mistaken. So he didn't make it this far. Muhlenberg, is it with you? Berg? Is it Berg? I don't think he's on here either way. No, but that's a fantastic guess because the Muhlenberg family was very important. Johnson. There is a William Samuel Johnson and Gorham. Nathaniel Gorham certainly was on there. So William Samuel Johnson was he represented Connecticut, but the people of Vermont didn't have a representative, but were trying to become a state. And they actually contacted him, and William Samuel Johnson essentially represented Vermont also because he was there representing Connecticut, and they were friendly. And he was a nice guy like that. Throw out some more names. I'm going to keep politicking. Nathaniel Gorham was chairman of the Committee of the Whole. So the Committee of the Whole was a parliamentary procedure that they still technically use, or could use in the American government right now, where people wanted the opportunity to speak freely, but not have it on their permanent record, so to speak. So what they would do is, you know how they have committees? They'll put a few people over here and go do a committee, figure it out, and then come report back. The Committee of the Whole was a committee made up of all the members of the Continental Congress. And they would, they could say whatever they want. And then when they came up with an idea they all agreed on, they would leave the Committee of the Whole, go back to regular convention, and vote. And the way they did this is George Washington would step down, and the chairman of the Committee of the Whole, Nathaniel Gorham, would step up and sit in the chair for George Washington and run the Committee of the Whole. And when they made a decision under Gorham, they would step down, Washington would step back up, and someone would motion to vote on the decision of the Committee of the Whole. So Nathaniel Gorham spent probably as much time as chairman of the Continental Congress as George Washington actually did. See more names. Rutledge. There's got to be a Rutledge. Ledge. Yes, there is. John Rutledge. He's back. Fitzsimmons. Fitzsimmons. That's how you spelled it? Oh, I spelled it wrong the way you spelled it, and they corrected us. But close enough. There's 2 M's. It's a tough name. Because there was a use for on scandal. Oh, interesting. Fitzsimmons was the only Catholic. No. Yes, Thomas Fitzsimmons was the only Catholic who signed the United States Constitution. I don't know. Wait. No, who's from Maryland? Well, let's figure out who's from Maryland. Maryland's the Catholic hotbed of the time, but he was one of the few Catholics to play a major role in creating the United States government. Carroll. Speaking of, Daniel Carroll was also a Catholic, so I do take that back. He was from the Carroll family. Oh, there's a stink bug just scared the life out of me. You guys saw it. Get out of here, dude. Where did you even come from? Yep, that scared me. Pretty terrifying. Now I don't remember where I am. Let's see. We got most of the big names. There's a shocking amount of people from Delaware who signed this document. Little old Delaware. Jersey, there are some, let's see, there are some names, if I'm not mistaken, that we said before for the Declaration that we've not yet repeated here. Talk about some of these people. I mean, I want to guess too, but I don't. When we do the big long one, I'll let you guys guess for a while, and then I will try and help a little, because it does get, I can't do it on my own anyway. So, let's see. We've not, Pinckney. Well, good guess. We did get Pinckney up there. We have 2 Pinckneys already. Charles Cotesworth Pinckney and Charles Pinckney. There's a lot of same names around at that time. We got Virginia, which is a little surprising. We got most of South Carolina, although Pinckney helped out a lot. We got all of New York, all of Alexander Hamilton. Again, some dude who wasn't born, didn't grow up in New York. Everyone else loved. George Clymer, that's a great name. George Clymer is there, signer of both the Declaration and the Constitution. Clymer, let's see, what do I remember about Clymer? Oof, not a lot off the top of my head. Wow, surprisingly little. I've written about 700-800 people in the last few years, so there are certainly people I forget some things about. Burr. Nope, not Burr. Burr would come into play shortly after this. He'd start his political ascent to the second highest office in the land. Reed. That is a great guess. From Delaware. And let's see, I want to see something else. R-E-E-D. No. I know Joseph Reed signed, I believe he signed the Articles of Confederation. If I am not mistaken. Although, I might be. Schuyler. You really want Schuyler on here, huh? Okay, C. Schuyler. Nope. Sorry, bud. Although Schuyler would become one of the 2 original senators from the state of New York shortly after this was signed, because he was extremely important to the state of New York. And I'll remind you, while they were writing and signing this document, many of the people back home didn't think this is what they were doing. Mchenry. Great submission, Amber. Yes, from Maryland. Okay, we got 2 in Maryland. James Mchenry. He was one of the younger members here, if I'm not mistaken. No. Oh, I always get him confused with the Secretary of War. There's a surgeon in the cabinet. Was it Mchenry? Maybe. We lost. Oh, we still got a minute. No, we wanted to get to 20. So, good. I mean, I still see 6 people here. Do you mean we lost like everyone left? No, we got 7 people here. Oh, and 7 likes. That's great. I always forget to remind you guys. Please hit like. It's really good for me when you hit like. Helps more people find it. Yeah, and you might notice while we're doing these live videos, there are, some regulars here who come for a good portion of it. And then there are just YouTube kind of shows it to randoms, and people will pop in for a minute and see if they like it. So, like, the more you hit like and the longer time you spend hanging out, the better it is for the group. The only one we got from Delaware is George Reed. We got one person from Jersey, no one from North Carolina. Oh, time's running out. Wah, wah, wah. With few, can I get it? Oh, I almost got it. I do believe, is there? I did get it. Oh, I got it. Wow, look at my typing skills. Way to sneak it in there, Amber. I can't believe it. Luckily, that was just one-handed. Broom definitely signed it, but now it is too late. I'm not sure when you guys are putting this in. Again, I put down the latency, so we should be pretty close to the same time. Let's go through some of the people we missed. From Delaware, we got both guys from Connecticut. From Delaware, we got Richard Bassett. We missed Richard Bassett. Gunning Bedford Jr., great name. John Dickinson, that's a big name. Jacob Broom. From Georgia, we missed Abraham Baldwin. Maryland, great name. Daniel of St. Thomas Jennifer. His last name was Jennifer. His first name was Daniel, and his middle name was of St. Thomas. We have no idea what that means. It doesn't seem to mean anything. His parents just named him of St. Thomas. He was from Maryland. From New Hampshire, we missed John Langdon, a really important guy, especially earlier in the war and later. God bless me. And, excuse me. Nicholas Gilman, a young man from an important family of New Hampshire who served throughout the war, and he would be in the first, he would be in Congress during the Washington administration. His brother would go on to serve, thank you, Misfit, as, governor. Jonathan Dayton, the youngest signer of the Constitution, just 26 years old, from New Jersey. Also, we missed William Patterson, that Patterson, New Jersey is named after. And David Brearley, who oversaw the Committee of Postponed Parts. So everything they put off throughout the Constitutional Convention, David Brearley was given a committee of, I think, 5 other people to solve the things we can't solve. And he did. From North Carolina, we did not do great. Richard Dobbs Spate, a name I love very much. William Blount. And Hugh Williamson. Pennsylvania, we missed Thomas Mifflin. And here's how you remember Thomas Mifflin from last time. If you've ever seen The Office, you already know what I'm getting at. Because they worked for Dunder Mifflin. And it is in Scranton, Pennsylvania. And it is a shout out to founder Thomas Mifflin. Dunder is made up, apparently. But it is a reference to Thomas Mifflin. South Carolina, also Jared Ingersoll from Pennsylvania. South Carolina, we miss Pierce Butler. And then down here is the secretary. And his name is William Jackson. And I can get into my disgruntledness with William Jackson at another time. But he did attest to the document as anyone hired to be a secretary would have done at the time. So where are we at? We're at 49 minutes. I said I was going to keep it to an hour, so we got about 10 minutes. If you guys are interested in doing one more, if that sounds cool to you, we can go back and do the declaration again. Is that something you're interested in? You want to see if we can do better the second time? It's possible. Or not. The secretary did all of the work. The secretary's responsibility was to write everything down, attest to all the documents, and that means essentially sign the documents, hire anyone outside the building that needed to be hired, and all of the other work that needed to be done. The founders would send their own letters, but if they, not that this body, the Constitutional Convention, was meeting in secret, so it's not like they were doing a lot of contacting outside the building, but if they had to, he would have been the one to do it. Now, William Jackson got this position because he knew some people who knew some people. He did a fine job there, but he did not keep good records, and we have very little records of the Constitutional Convention because of his flaws. He would have, a successful career outside of this, but there's another gentleman named Charles Thompson, who was Secretary of the Continental Congress, who did want this position, but didn't get it for a variety of reasons. Notably, he was still the Secretary of the Continental Congress, which was at this time meeting in New York. Charles Thompson would be Secretary of Congress from the First Continental Congress all the way through. In fact, when the Declaration of Independence was published in early July of 1776, John Hancock's famous for having his giant signature on the Declaration, kind of. That's what the story's become, but the truth is, John Hancock, as sitting president, aka chairman, not like George Washington or, Donald Trump, Joe Biden president, chairman president of the Continental Congress. So when the first broadsides were printed and sent to the different states and sent to George Washington leading the army, the only people who signed the original copies were John Hancock, who was chairman of the organization, and Charles Thompson, who was secretary, attesting to the official document. No one else would sign it until August 2nd. And actually, the Declaration was signed possibly years later by people who would show up and be like, "Can I still sign this?" Should have been more obvious. What the secretary does? No, not necessarily. Again, they weren't. There were several positions that had the title secretary at the time. This one was more associated with, could be more closely associated with the receptionist, because it was just working in this one office. That, as opposed to, as we discussed the other day, John Gibson, who was Secretary of the Indiana Territory, had to do all of the things. He went out and did a census by himself of tens of thousands of acres of miles of property. So not tens of thousands of miles, but acres of property. So the word secretary you got to be cautious with back then, and really pay attention to who gave them the position and what institution that secretary is working for. All right, 53. So I'm going to pull this back up because there's just 7 minutes left. For anyone who joined along the way, I'm going to start doing these at probably about 12:15 on Sundays. These will be Ask Me Anything, bring me a founder. If you have a project you're working on, there's a founder you learned about, you want to learn more about, I'm here for it. I'm happy to talk about it, learn what I can. Actually, what I was thinking about doing here is pulling up my website and having you guys just name founders, and I'd bring up their, search their name on my website and use it as a guide for what I've already learned about at once in my life, and just use it as an outline and tell you about their life. So next week, if you want to come, put aside some founders' names that you'd like to learn more about. You want to talk about the Pendletons, I'll be happy to talk about the Pendleton family. Talk about Jacob Broom, I'll talk about Jacob Broom, whatever you want to learn about. And if you let me know if you think this will be fun to try and do the big 250 founders quiz for trivia next week. I can also ask the card questions along the way. Quick question. Have I heard about the Widowmakers? I recently heard of them and thought it was a cool name. The Widowmakers? Is that, yeah. I've heard several things in my life called a Widowmaker. So I'm not entirely sure what you're specifically referencing. I'll Google it while I'm here and see what comes up first. Tree. In forestry, a widowmaker or a fool killer is a detached or broken limb from the top of a tree. It can fall on workers and kill them. That makes a lot of sense. Okay, here, Wikipedia. Can't go wrong. Widowmaker, medicine. Nickname used to describe a highly stenotic left main coronary artery. That's what I was thinking about. When you have a pulmonary arterism. Blah, 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 blah. I can't get it out. Film and television, books, characters, music. D. Snyder Band. Okay. Vehicles and weaponry. That makes sense. Other uses. The hill climb in Utah, where you drive your motorcycle up the hill. Snipers in the Revolutionary War. African buffalo. I have not heard that particular name here. Let's see. Let's do it again. Widowmaker Revolutionary War. There's still things I have not found myself. There's always something new. There's so many people. Timothy Murphy. A sniper. Timothy Murphy was a rifleman in the American Revolutionary War at the Battle of Bemis Heights and the Battle of Saratoga. He's reputed to have shot and killed Sir Francis Clerk, 7th Baronet, and General Simon Fraser. His book is the subject of a novel, The Rifleman. I don't see the term Widowmaker. Oh, Fultonham? Interesting. Let me search it. Widow. Oh, I spelled it right. No, I don't see it in here. Although this is a person I want to learn about. So I am going to keep that up. Openly. Yeah, I mean, it popped up on Wikipedia. Revenue. Okay, here's another article about him. Okay. Timothy the Widowmaker Murphy. Okay. I guess it's this gentleman. General Daniel Morgan once said to Murphy, "That gallant officer is General Fraser. I admire him, but it is necessary that he shall die. Do your duty." Okay, so I guess there's a gentleman. Craig and Kate, thank you for coming. I like your take on Sybil Ludington when you can. All right, well, we're going to cut this at an hour, or about an hour. So I'll talk about Sybil Ludington last. Again, just so everyone knows, we ran super long the other day. It's perfectly fine. No one should feel guilty. But for people who watch later, we don't want to run too long. It's not. Then people won't watch when it's 2.5 hours, and then that's no fun for anyone. So Sybil Ludington is very interesting. Background for those of you who don't know. Yeah, okay, Ashley, I'll write an article about it this week. And we'll talk about it. For those of you who don't know, Sybil Ludington was a young woman, probably 16 years old, who lived in technically upstate New York, though if you live upstate, you consider it downstate. It was on the east side of the Hudson, close to Connecticut. And when the British came to raid the storehouse in Danbury, Connecticut, word went out that the British were coming. This happened several times. It wasn't just Paul Revere in Boston. It happened several times throughout the Revolutionary War. I'll sit up straight. I've been hunched over the computer. And Sybil Ludington's father, whose name eludes me, I think was it Henry Ludington, something like that. He was a leader of the Minutemen in the area. I think he was a colonel. Again, don't particularly remember his title. But he went out to rally his troops. And Sybil, his daughter, took it upon herself to get on horseback and ride a lot of miles, 40 miles plus, overnight. Was it storming? Maybe. That's how the story always seems to go with midnight rides. And she went and warned the soldiers, and they all came. They joined her father. Now, they did not get there in time to actually fight at Danbury, but what happened was the British soldiers got to Danbury. Benedict Arnold and David Wooster rallied some troops and scared them off, and Ludington's forces showed up as the British were retreating and fired on them during their retreat. So it was helpful, even though they showed up a little bit late. Now, unfortunately, and of course, it's got to be one of the founding mothers who's a hero of the Revolution, that we don't have a whole lot of documentation on. And we don't have a lot of documentation about her particular ride. And if the story of her famous ride only came out from a family member decades and decades later. So there is little evidence to indicate that she did take this ride, though it is certain that her father, again, I think it's Henry Ludington, did lead men from New York to assist in pushing out the British from Connecticut. Because these men were roused, I do believe that she got on horseback and helped rouse them. Did she do it by herself? Was she all alone? That I don't know. We don't know. Did her father also probably go out in a different direction and rally his own men? Yeah, because what was he doing? So I do believe she helped. I don't know all the details. As with most legends of this nature, it's probably gotten a little bit overblown from what actually happened. But I do think she did take the ride. And there are markers around New York State indicating where her ride apparently went. And again, I don't know. Yes, of course, there are markers around the country that are wrong, but I don't know that people would go to such great lengths if the story was wrong. Now, there are people who will disagree with me about Sybil Ludington and say it never even happened at all. And because we have so little documentation, that's possible. But personally, again, I know the story. You got to take it with a grain of salt, similar to Betsy Ross, which I don't really want to get into right now, who definitely made flags, but definitely didn't make all the flags. The stories get a little overblown. And while it is done as a way to indicate the price that women paid during the Revolutionary War, who had been overlooked for so long, although these stories came out in the 1800s, so even back then people were trying to give the founding mothers the due respect they deserved. Like I said, I believe that Sybil Ludington took that famous ride. I don't know if it went exactly as the story goes, but I am on team Sybil Ludington happened. Don't know much about them. Yeah, we'll look into it. Cool. All right, guys, so that's an hour. Like I said, I want to sit here and take questions all my life, but I want to make things as convenient on all the viewers, the ones who are both live and watching in the past. So we're going to cut it off now. Craig, great channel. I love all this info on the Revolutionary War and presentation. So many patriots then. I know. Thank you, Craig, for saying that. I really appreciate it. Again, make sure you subscribe. Have a live video on Wednesday, where I will talk about the articles I wrote this week. And I will do, we're going to do this trivia next week. And one more thing. Today, I did an experiment on my website. If you've gone, if you've gone to my website just this month for the first time after 2.5 years, I put Google ads on there, and they're terrible, and they make the website look gross. And I want the website to be a resource. So it was a failed experiment, and I am going to remove it. It's not like I'm even making any money off it. I thought I might. I thought it might help offset some of these costs, and it didn't. So, forgive me for this. The website's been nice for several years. Why would I make it not nice now? I don't know. I'm going to fix that. If you guys want to help offset some of the costs I'm incurring trying to keep this alive and get me up to $0 a month for Founder of the Day, check out my Patreon page. There's a link below. I put out a bunch of extra content over there. Bye, John. Thank you for saying that. Bye, Ashley. Bye, everyone. I really appreciate you guys coming and spending your time with me, and I look forward to you'll get a regular video tomorrow, a regular video on Tuesday, and we'll do a live wrap-up coming this Wednesday. So while I pull up my exit here, thank you again. Hit like on your way out. That would be a huge help. Misfit, thank you so much for coming. And like I said, I will see you guys on Wednesday.